So let's open up that Premiere project. Find Premiere on your computer. On your computer, it's probably going to be in this dock down here in the bottom, but if it's not, you can always go up to the Spotlight tool at the top right and just type in Premiere, and it'll be the option that shows up there. Let's go ahead and open that up. And we're going to start a new folder that we just made in our 5-folder setup. All right, so I'm ready to make a new project. Just click on New Project. Call this Multi-Camera Interview Your Name. And then make sure to click on this Browse button here so it doesn't just save it to some random folder on your computer. Click Browse. Find that folder that you just made, your multi-camera interview folder. You want to put it in your projects folder, and then it should be good to go. All right, let's open up that Premiere project. You can find Premiere in the dock of your computer, and if you don't see it there, you can just do a Spotlight search up here at the top right, type in Premiere, and you'll see the program there. Open up that program, and let's create our new project. Click on here on New Project. Call this project Multi-Camera Interview Your Name. And then make sure to click on this Browse button right here so you can choose a place to save this, so it's not just going to save it on some random folder on your computer. You want to save it in the Projects folder of your 5-folder setup. And by the way, you're going to turn in this 5-folder setup. So use this 5-folder setup because I am going to be able to see if you actually made the 5-folder setup and didn't just have some random form of organization. So make sure you actually create that 5-folder setup and save your files the way that I'm doing it here. Save it in this Projects folder, click Choose, and you can ignore the rest of these settings, just hit OK. Now I've got a new project. Now again, by default, the first time you open Premiere, it might be in this mode, which is called Learning. Great stuff here, but we want to be in Editing mode. So up here at the top, click on Editing to put us in Editing mode. Okay, next thing we can do is we can import our clips. Down here at the bottom left is my Project panel. I've also got my History panel and my Effects panel. Maybe by default you've got a lot of other panels down here in the lower left, a lot of other tabs. If you want to close any of them, just click on the little hamburger menu next to it and choose Close Panel. The ones that I want to have are my Project, my History, and my Effects. Project is where I import my file. So open that up, make sure you can see that. Then go back to Finder, just a little blue icon right here. Find your Media folder, which has got all of your clips in there, and just drag, drop, and click to import that media folder into your project. So great, I've got my media folder there now. Next, I'm also going to go ahead and import my audio folder. I went ahead and downloaded that sample music, so I'm going to go ahead and add that to my project as well. Next thing I'm going to do, if I want to just preview my clips, I can do it this way. By the way, by default, probably Premiere looks like this for you. Your project panel looks like this, where you can see these icons of these folders. If you double click on one of these icons, it's going to open up that folder in another tab like this. So I've got multiple tabs here. It opened up this folder in its own tab. And then to close that, you just close that panel, go back to your project panel. I think this is a little bit inconvenient. What I prefer is list mode. Down here at the bottom left, you can see list view right there. Click on that, and then you're in list view. And then to see a video file, all I have to do is click on this little arrow, click on this arrow, and then if I double click the icon, for example on camera A, just double click on this icon right here, up here at the top left, I'll see a preview of what that clip looks like. And I can look at it, edit it, make changes to it, that sort of thing. Actually I can't edit it because it's just a preview, but I can look at it and see what it looks like. So that's the way that I like to preview my footage and do that sort of thing. Okay, what we're going to do next is we're going to create one more bin, one more folder. And this folder is going to be called Sequences. Down here at the bottom right, you'll see a little folder icon right here. You can click on that to make a new bin, and I'm going to call this bin Sequences. Remember, a sequence is the thing that you edit in Premiere. And this editing process is going to involve multiple sequences, and then we're going to kind of mash those sequences together to create what's called a multi-camera sequence. But first I need to have that sequences folder for the sake of my organization. The next thing I need to do is find my different camera angles. So the footage that I have is already organized into multiple folders. I have a folder here for all the B-roll footage. This is just other footage that they filmed. I have a folder here for camera A. This is one of the camera angles. I have a folder here for camera B. This is the close-up camera angle. And this group also filmed with a camera C. So they had a third camera off to the side, and I have that camera angle here as well. What I'm going to do is make a different sequence for each camera angle and then mash them all together. I'm going to start with camera A. So let's take a look at this right here, and I'm just going to take this first clip here. There's 4 clips, and I'll explain why in a moment, but I'm going to take this first clip and then right-click. On your Mac computer, it might be Control-click to do that. I'm going to choose this option here, New Sequence from Clip. Now, Premiere has made a sequence. It's made a sequence based on this clip. The sequence has the same dimensions. It's 1920 by 1080. Has all the same dimensions, all the same settings as the clip has, the same frame rate and all of that. But it's its own sequence, and it's already got the footage in there. It renamed the sequence to just whatever was the name of the video file. You can see that down here. So the video file that I used was called 13 a bunch of numbers. The sequence is also called 13 a bunch of numbers. To make this less confusing, I'm just going to single click on the text here so that I can rename it. I'm going to rename this to camera A because that's my camera A camera angle. Now, I want to explain why there are multiple clips here. Because right now I've got, this first one, the second one, this third one, and this fourth one. And I want to explain why that is. Sometimes when you're filming a very long piece of footage, like in this case a 20-minute long interview, your camera will do something that is meant to protect you. What it will do is it will split your clip that you're filming into multiple files. And the reason it does that is so that in case your camera crashes or something like that, you maybe would lose part of your interview or part of what you were filming, but not the whole thing. So for this interview, the person recording it, they only hit record once. They hit record at the beginning of the interview, and then they hit record at the very end of the interview. But their camera split their footage into 4 files here. What we're going to do is just bring them all together. So my first file is already here in my timeline. The second one, I'm just going to drag it into my timeline right up against the end of that first file. And if you were to move your playhead over here to right at the very end of the first file and hit play, you would see just to seamlessly move on from one clip to the next clip. Because again, no one hit stop, no one stopped recording. It's just that the camera split this into multiple files.
Thankfully happening in this world. So there is a lot of information that people were given.
So you can see it's just moved from one file to the next one. We're basically bringing all those files back together. Thank you, camera, for splitting up these files for us, but we need to bring them back together. Third file here, same thing. Just going to drop it, make sure it's right next to the other clip there. There's no space in between them. And the fourth one here. Drop it there. Now I've got all 4 of my files together. Okay. I'm going to go ahead and save. And then once I've done that, once I've got all 4 of my files together, I've got my sequence for that camera angle, I'm just going to take this sequence and drop it into my sequences folder. I'm going to do the same thing with camera B, camera C as well, and we'll show you that process again. So open up camera B. This one, my camera only split it into 2 files. That's fine. Right-click on the file, new sequence from clip. Again, I'm going to rename this sequence that it just made so it's not MVI, a bunch of numbers, and rename it to camera B. And I'm going to drop this second clip there at the very end so that they're together. Same thing, drop this in my sequences folder, and I'll do the same thing for camera C. So in my timeline, which is this bottom right panel right here, I've got 3 tabs here. Each tab is a different camera angle. It's a different sequence for a different camera angle. The next step in my process that I want to complete right now is actually to do some color correction. I'm going to do some color correction to my video clips because, as you might notice, camera A's colors and kind of tones and brightness and contrast look very different from camera B or camera C, and I want to kind of match them together. So that's the next step in the process I'm going to tackle.